This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
One of the things I want to do before the season starts is get a good grasp on what the national outlook of the team is. That way, so if the Browns outperform it, we can legitimately say they overperformed or underperformed and kind of base it off of something. This is a first take segment about the Browns and the over-under being at 4.5. Let's listen. Let's react to this. I have a lot of thoughts.
Of the 2025 NFL season. Yes, we get to talk real football.
Tell me about it.
Let's talk win totals right now, though. Taking a look at the Browns, courtesy of ESPN Bet Sportsbook, Cleveland's win total is set at 4.5, which is tied with the Saints for the lowest win total. We got a full crew here for you, Mad Dog. We're going to go around the horn on these. Dog, Browns over or under 4.5 wins? What do you have?
They have a good defense. They get a little life when they move the quarterbacks around a little bit. And they play the Titans, the Jets, Miami, and the Patriots. 4.5 is so low, tough division. I would go over. I got a feeling they can win 6 games. I mean, schedule's hard, but they have those 4. I'm going to go over 4.5 for Cleveland.
All right, so Mad Dog goes over 4.5 for Cleveland. I think that's fine. I personally go over on 4.5 in Cleveland. Now, here's the thing about this, too, right? People are going to point out how tough the schedule looks and everything else like that. I don't like to play that game because you don't know what the Packers are going to look like in week 3. The Packers could be incredible. They could have Micah Parsons at full strength and be the best team in the NFL. The Packers could also not have Micah Parsons, have an injury at the quarterback position, and you catch him on a good week. You never know what version of the team you're going to play until the week of the game that you're going to play them. There are some weeks where you want to catch the Ravens. There are going to be some weeks where you're going to want to catch the Bengals, right? We know this. The Bengals are a different team at the beginning of the season than at the end of the season. The Ravens tend to be different teams at different points of the season, right? The Steelers tend to be different teams at different points of the season. We can't act like that part doesn't matter. It's impossible to predict. And this is why I think playing the schedule game for anything that's remotely serious tends to be a losing strategy because you just can't predict what teams are going to be playing like when you play them. But that's a huge factor in this, right? Who knows what the Ravens are going to look like at the beginning of the season? Maybe that's a good time to catch them. Maybe we're going to look back and say, hey, the 6-week stretch there, it really wasn't as tough as maybe between week 11 to 15, because maybe some of these teams surprise us. So I just caution people of like being like, hey, this is a tough stretch, and just saying that that's going to be immovable for the team, right? Let me talk to you real quick about Sleeper. Hey, guess what? The NFL season is finally here, and that means you've got a fantastic opportunity with daily fantasy football on the Sleeper app. Football has never been more exciting than it is now with players like C.J. Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, etc. Pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, and fantasy points and more for up to 100x payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you can win big. Use promo code WORSTTAKE and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Download the #1 sports app today and experience it for yourself. Also, remember that you can use the promo code WORSTTAKE and get up to $100 match on your first deposit. All right, we're back to the video. Let's do this.
The way Mad Dog was talking, I thought he was going to say the Browns are winning 10 games. And then he said, I'm going with 6. Yeah, I think over as well, but very slightly. 5 or 6 at the most.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think their offense, can they generate enough explosive plays on the offensive side of the ball, on the perimeter? Jerry Jeudy, look, he had a fantastic year a season ago. I think the offensive line will be strong. I think Joe Flacco will be serviceable. I think the defense, look, I love Jim Schwartz. They have added nothing but firepower on the defensive side. Remember the name Carson Schlesinger now, the rookie out of UCLA. He's going to be challenging now. He's going to be challenging for a Pro Bowl spot. He's that good. He'll be that good as a rookie. I think they're a 7-8 win football team if they can produce some explosives on the perimeter.
I have them.
Am I agreeing with ESPN? Is that good for the brand? Is that good for? Should I lie just to disagree with ESPN? When ESPN says something I agree with, should I just lie and act like they're wrong just to stay on character here? No, I agree with Louis Riddick and what he said, and I agree that I like that most of these guys are going with the over on the Cleveland Browns. I think that's the right play. I think 4.5 games is a crazy low line for this Browns team. Like, if you're taking a 2,000-foot view or 20,000-foot view, I can understand how you arrived there because the Browns were a 3-win team last year, and you can convince yourself certain of the factors are going to be more important, and maybe they didn't solve the quarterback problem, right? But, man, think about all that had to go wrong last year for this team to be a 3-win team last year. I know we don't usually look at it in that lens, but really look at it through that lens of all the things that had to topple down last year for the Browns to be a 3-win team. You had massive amounts of injuries, and nobody ever mentions this. I think people have legitimately forgot it. But the Browns had a massive amount of injuries on the offensive line last year. A massive amount of injuries on the offensive line. And that rolled into your quarterback problem. Your quarterback problem was not just bad. If it was bad, I think the Browns would have been a 5 or 6 win team. It was historically bad. We're talking about some of the lowest success rates that we've seen from starting quarterbacks in the NFL in quite some time. Then you roll that on top of the fact that you're getting a bad season from your kicker, who's not the kicker for the team anymore. And your run game was completely trash, which was headed by legitimately 2-3 people who don't have jobs here anymore. All of those dominoes had to fall. Your quarterback had to not just be cooked, but pop his Achilles. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think Deshaun Watson getting injured, as unfortunate as it was for Deshaun Watson, might have helped the Browns win-loss record because the next week they beat Baltimore. And I don't think they were beating Baltimore with how Deshaun was playing. I don't think they were beating Baltimore with how DTR was playing. So the Browns getting to their third quarterback, which at the time was Jameis Winston, actually benefited them. And keep in mind, yes, this Browns team did beat the Baltimore Ravens last year. This Browns team has beaten the Baltimore Ravens at least, once the last 2 years? My whole point is this. We know why last year was as bad as it was. We know why the Browns feel good about their ability to avoid that, right? On all 3 fronts that we talked about, that trifecta of Duke that we talked about with the Cleveland Browns that existed, where they had horrific field goal kicking, an awful run game, an awful run design, and then they also had, on top of that, the worst quarterback play in the NFL. Well, they hope to not be the worst quarterback play in the NFL. And they probably won't. Joe Flacco last year was 22 in quarterback success rate. It's not great. It's not awful. It's perfectly mediocre. And I think that would be perfectly fine for the Cleveland Browns. A massive upgrade going from 46 and 47th to 22, right? If that's what Joe Flacco can offer you this year. If you look at the run game, the Browns have gone back from an offensive line standpoint to a run system that they are used to, familiar with, and think that they can have a lot of success with. And in the preseason, take it for what it's worth, they've had a lot of success with it. We've seen this team have success with that run style. And also, they've revamped the whole room. So all new running backs. So they've done something there. And hell, they even brought in a new kicker. So new quarterbacks, new running backs, new kickers. Those are the 3 reasons why the Browns were so awful last year. Those are the 3 factors that kept bleeding into themselves that started to tank the defense, that started to make the team much worse. If those things can be better, I'm not even saying all 3 of them got to be fixed, can just be better than they were last year, then the Browns have a good chance to get over 5 wins this year. So, yeah, I agree with ESPN here. I think they're right. Let's listen to what Stephen A. has to say.
At 7 wins. I think they can win 7. I got the over here. I think that obviously the AFC North is highly competitive, and no matter how dormant somebody is, somehow they find a way to win a game or two against one another. So I take that into consideration.
That's real.
Along with some of the other games on the schedule. I think they can pull out 7 wins.
Guys, the Niners win total set at.
All right, so Stephen A., 7 wins for the Cleveland Browns. Again, should I be concerned that I'm agreeing with ESPN? Like, part of me is, because it's never good when ESPN agrees with me almost every time, right? Almost every time I show a little bit of excitement and ESPN's like, yeah, man, you should be excited. I usually end up very disappointed. So hopefully this time it's different, but yeah, I think that's the right perspective to look at the Browns based on what we know about them right now. Is the quarterback position solved? No. The Browns aren't solving the quarterback position this year, but is it better than it was last year by a significant margin? I would argue yes. Did they solve the run game? No. We don't know if they have the true answer and the replacement for Nick Chubb, but they have made some really tangible steps to hopefully put this thing back where it's supposed to be. They've gone back to a run system that they're very familiar with. They've gotten a running offensive line coach that they like, offensive coordinator who doesn't mind committing to that style. It seems like they're in a much better place with the run game. And even with field goal kicking, look, Andre Schmidt looked pretty good kicking the football in camp and in preseason. So hopefully he can solidify that kicker position. And you know, my best wish is that we just get a good kicker and we never have to think about that guy again. Like, that's just everybody's dreams. Like, let me not think about the kicker. Like, I don't need you to be the best kicker in the league or anything. Like, having Brendan Albee would be great if you could get him. But, like, honest to God, if I could just have a kicker like Chris Boswell where I just can forget about him. Like, 20-yard field goal, Bos got that, right? Then I'd be pretty damn happy. But, yeah, I think that's a fair place for the Browns to be at. 4.5 games. That's a really low total for the Browns. Vegas is super low on the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if I'm even close to being that low. I'm not take the Browns to be over 500 guy this year. I don't think the Browns are going to be over 500. I think the range that was expressed at this table is pretty accurate. What Stephen A. was at, 7 wins. Mad Dog was at 6. Kimberly seems to be the lowest on them. She says the Browns probably over the 4.5 is really low, but she says 6 wins max. I can understand that perspective, right? I think these are all kind of fair things. Now, do the Browns have a potential if they get better quarterback play than everybody's expecting to be much better than this? Yeah. You know, I'd be surprised if they pulled 11 wins out, right? I'm not going to sit here and stand and act like I'm predicting that right now. But, you know, if they get a good season out of Joe Flacco, this defense is elite. Anything's possible at that point, right? When you're playing good defense and you get decent quarterback play, you can win a lot of games in the NFL. It's not really going to surprise me too much. But that's my thoughts here. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.